One.
Hey Anderson, hope you're enjoying Vegas. I just wanted to say that your mother was a special person, and sharing that moment with you is something that I'll always remember for the rest of my life. It was very special to me. But hold up.
Where is he going? He didn't finish his message.
Everything's okay. Everything's great. Everything. Hey, we're gonna have fun here, okay? Let's step up to the mic here, okay? How about a round of applause for the young man here? Yeah? This is all for you, bud. Okay? You're very welcome, buddy. Okay, so I have two things for you. One is this jersey. And the second is a question. Do you want to go to the All-Star game next year?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully I'll see you there next year. Okay, buddy? Sound good?
A night of emotion, tears, laughter, and we'll be honest, some cringe-worthy stuff. This is Agree or Disagree, the podcast. My name is Kevin Olenek. You can follow me on Twitter at KBOLE. Subscribe on all of your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc., etc. Facebook, Agree or Disagree, the podcast. Kevin Olenek as well. I am joined from the lovely city of Calgary, Alberta. Heidi Stobert is with us. Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
How's it going?
Not too shabby.
That's good. I am glad that it's you and I are reviewing the NHL Awards ceremony. Heidi was concerned of something, so I am always prepared. She is, as we were chatting, thinking that what if, while we are actually recording a trade, because of the time of year it is, a trade or something significant happens while we're recording. Well, Heidi, I am prepared because I have this. If something like this happens, we will hear something like that. So, yes, we will hear someone say breaking news, and then you'll know that breaking news has happened. So there you go.
Cool. I also have my Twitter open, so I might also see it come through.
Yes, I also have my Twitter as well. We'll get into a lot of NHL award things, and we'll probably talk about some other stuff as well. But what is your favorite awards show?
My favorite awards show?
Yeah, do you have
just in general?
Like, do you have one like every that you watch is like, oh, I really got to make sure I get out of my way to watch these types of this award show?
Not overly. Like, I used to watch more award shows, like, you know, the Oscars, and I have fond memories actually of watching the Much Music Awards when I was a kid.
Right. Yes.
It's funny. I think like that probably would have been the award show that I would have watched the most growing up. I haven't watched it now for years, but that was like probably my favorite one. And I will every once in a while like catch little bits and pieces of like the kind of major awards, but it's not really actually my thing.
Yeah. The only one I really watch most consistently is the Oscars, because I don't want to call it the standard award show, but it's the most, I've always found it the most interesting, probably because it's way too long, but I don't know, it's just something about the Oscars I've always felt like required viewing for me. I have to be honest, this is probably one of the first time I've taken the 2.5 hours or so to watch the NHL awards. It's not something I've been out of my way to do, but I thought it would be quite fascinating to do. And I'm going to have some suggestions for them how to improve this awards show, Heidi. Heidi, you and I are going to fix this NHL awards show to make this appointment viewing, okay? And you also will make a comment on some of the things that you saw on the social media as well, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we'll start basically with the opening monologue, which was Kenan Thompson. I'm going to start by saying this now. I don't think I think what they were trying to do is get an outside hockey person to do this show, because SNL did a skit that worked really well was it this year or last year with the guy on the reporting about hockey.
Chance the Rapper, yeah.
Chance the Rapper.
I honestly can't remember whether that was this season or last season, but it's fairly recent.
Yeah. And that was really funny. Like, it was a really funny skit. But there were times that it was pretty clear to me that Kenan Thompson was so far outside of hockey that the audience couldn't relate to him. And I just didn't think overall he worked for the most part. What did you think?
So when I heard that he would be hosting it, I actually thought that was a great idea. Somebody who is a comedian who's on SNL, who has that odd legacy of being involved with quote-unquote hockey because of his involvement with the Mighty Ducks franchise. He was in D2 and D3.
Yes, that's right.
I almost forgot that he wasn't in the first one, but anyways, so like I actually thought that would be a good idea, but unfortunately it did fall flat, and I think it could have been better. I don't know if he was responsible for all the kind of decisions that went into like the writing and the jokes, whether they just kind of gave him free reign, or if the NHL or whoever, the powers that be, controlled any of that. So like I don't want to like entirely blame him until I like really knew the answer to that question. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed, unfortunately, with because there was definitely moments where it just got far too cringy.
Yeah, well, yes, but part of that was I'm not going to fully put that on Kenan. This crowd, Heidi, this is an award show. This is fun. You're going out and you are in Las Vegas, Nevada. You are in one of the funnest cities in the entire world. And the smiles, I could count on my finger the amount of smiles from these human beings. They were all there so serious. I was like, my goodness, can we get some people to smile? Have a good time. Like, it was crazy. Like, the person that had one of the biggest laughs was actually Gary Bettman and Crosby a little bit later. But they were so serious. That was the part that was such a disconnect. Is like, probably in a different crowd, Kenan Thompson was pretty funny, but this crowd was so serious.
Well, you got to remember that these are hockey players and their families. Like the crowd, like obviously there was fan crowd, but the people that were on the floor were hockey players and their families and stuff like that. I think when you watch something like the Oscars or what have you, like you have these actors and these celebrities, whatever, who are used to being in the media, and they kind of know how these award shows go, and they know to like, do funny things in the audience and laugh and stuff. So like, I think it might have been partially that as well, but they should have tried to play be aware of that and kind of try to adjust somehow to have made the quote unquote like real people, not on the floor there, maybe be able to laugh a little bit more.
Yeah, like it just seems so tight that I was like, oh my God, there's nobody smiling right now. Like this is ultimately, like this is a serious white person show. No laughter. But a couple of jokes that I thought that he did that were really funny. I thought it was great that he said, just to confirm, I'm not a Subban brother. I thought his Gary Bettman joke was pretty funny, and I thought the Tampa Bay Lightning joke was quite funny as well. Even though the Tampa Bay Lightning specifically did not find it funny, I thought it was hilarious. So I thought that was good, and there was a nice little touch to get Jim and Pam from the office, John Krasinski and Gillian Fisher, on. I thought that was a nice skit, and it was a nice touch to get Layla. But overall, it just didn't quite connect, and I agree with you. I don't know whose fault that is, but it didn't quite connect there. Then we got to the Calder Trophy, which here in Vancouver, there was a bit of nervousness, not super much nervousness, that Jordan Binnington would win it. He did not. Elias Pettersson won the Calder. I don't think that was too much of a surprise. Nice little touch by Pettersson thanking Jason Botchford and paying tribute to him. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it was a good win. And I think for Canuck fans, Sean, Tyler, and Chris, and all of the Canuck fans, it was a bit of a relief for a fairly long year in Canuck land that they felt some vindication with Pettersson winning their Calder. Thoughts?
Yeah. So I obviously we talk a lot to those Canuck fans. So obviously they were excited and all that stuff, and I kind of fed off that excitement a little bit. Yeah, good for him. But I kind of went around and thought about it this morning. I saw last night lots of tweets of people saying that Binnington should have won it, and I was kind of yeah. But I talked to a couple fellow Flames fan friends this morning, and I had them actually kind of break down what their thoughts was, and there was actually quite the pull of people thinking that Binnington should have won. Not that Pettersson didn't deserve it, but that maybe Binnington should have won. And it's just, it's one of those things where I think it just kind of went down to how the voters interpreted what the award meant. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was a snub on any part. I think if Dahlin would have won, then it would have been, there definitely would have been outrage.
Yeah, probably. I think that one of the questions I think going forward is the debate around when these awards should count. Because if you are counting the playoffs, I think obviously Jordan Binnington wins this hand. I don't think there's much debate around that. But because it's the regular season, I think that's where you give it to Pettersson. And I was thinking about actually in the future if that needs to be a debate or not. I don't know. I know I talked to a couple of Buffalo fans that did actually. I saw a couple of Buffalo fans that made an argument for Dahlin as well. But ultimately, the way that Pettersson started, I think it was just too hard for anyone specifically to pass Binnington. Although I think that there is I think that there is a legitimate argument in this day and age of goaltending that Binnington could win. Because if you match up what his season would have been, that would have been about a half a year. And goaltenders play if goaltenders are playing the 40 to 50 games, there is a legitimate argument to have Binnington be in this. So, but ultimately that was Pettersson, and that was that. Then we got to the Lady Byng Trophy, which Oh, I thought it was kind of funny that they had the Gretzky, Robitaille, and Lemieux kids present the award. I thought that was kind of cute there. Then it was the Lady Byng Award, and it was was this the Nick Tortorella moment? Did I
can't. It's funny. I just watched this, and do you think I can remember?
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. Anyway, what's the Lady Byng Trophy?
I didn't write that down.
The Lady Byng Trophy. It was Barkov, Sean Monahan, and Ryan O'Reilly that were the nominees for this. Barkov wins. Sean Monahan had no expression. But I don't think it was very
typical Sean Monahan.
He was boring Monahan. I don't think it was much of a surprise, but I did thought what a line. I had more fans in Finland than I do in Florida. I thought was one of the greatest lines of the night. That was great.
Yeah. That was honestly like my favorite thing that I heard, because it was such a burn, but like probably so true.
Yeah.
But like that took like that's very very spicy to say that when you're the captain of that team and you just say that on like such a huge stage, but
yeah.
Oh well.
In fact, there was also at this point we got they did sort of the Hart Trophy as if they did the Best Picture, and they did a profile of each of the three nominees, and they had Gillian Fisher do a video tribute on that for each one. I thought it was a nice touch adding Gillian Fisher.
So I will big spoiler, guys. Other than well, we'll talk about it later, but seeing Gillian Fisher on the awards was like what made it for me, because like I've been following her for quite some time. I think she's so funny, and as being like, I don't know, I just very much relate to her, maybe because we both love hockey. We got blonde hair and glasses and like saying funny things about hockey. But yeah, I was so happy that she was involved with the awards in general so much.
Yeah, it was a nice touch to have her. The only thing I was like, there was a couple of times like, just look at the camera, but it was really, it was well done. She made a legitimate argument, but this is also a thing that this is what I would have loved to have seen from the NHL a little bit more. Is there would have been an opportunity to have like fan arguments about who should win the MVP. Like, it was great that Fisher did both of that, but like, you know, I think, and we'll talk about a fan that actually felt that McDavid was snubbed in a little bit here, but like, just making the argument, McDavid does like having like sort of a fan interaction or sort of create like why from an Oiler fan, hey, we think McDavid should win because of this kind of thing, like a passionate kind of argument that Oiler fans or fans could have, I think would have been another good add to that as well. But Gillian Fisher was a nice add, I think, overall.
Yeah, it was a good like representation of that, and I think it's something that that the awards could build on for sure.
And I also think that it would have been great to have fan votes, not because they would have won, but just hey, fans say 52% of Pedersen. 33, it doesn't count within the vote. I'm not saying that, but just, hey, well, fans, what do you think? Who should win? That, I think, would have been also a way to create some interaction there as well going forward. But, that's something that they can work on. Then after this, Connor McDavid came out with T. Babcock came out, and he was a Canadian. He's a Canadian reporter. The thing that was awkward, this was what was awkward here, is from Surrey. Kenan Thompson says from Surrey, British Columbia. So I'm thinking, oh, they're going to go to Surrey, and the reporter's going to be in Surrey. That's neat. What lo and behold, he's walking out of the stage with Connor McDavid, and I'm just like, why are you on the stage? Why are you not in Surrey? Like, did I misunderstand what was going on there? Because I thought he said they are in Surrey, from Surrey. I interpret that as they are coming from Surrey. not coming on the stage. Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it would have been actually kind of cool to do something like that, but that's okay. I think I liked this Steve Babcock guy. I think I liked seeing him on the stage. It was kind of a little bit of a little bit more of that flair. I found him at times a little bit more funny than the host, but
yeah. It was Connor was trying he was trying so hard not to laugh, but he broke down eventually too. So it was nice to get him out of their comfort zone a little bit. So that was the first one, and then we had the GM of the Year award, which was Don Sweeney. He beat out Doug Armstrong, and let me Google who was the other nominee there. GM of the Year. Sorry, I thought I had all this here.
It's okay. I have it in front of me too. I'm looking for it. It was Don Waddell from the Carolina Hurricanes.
That's right. From the Carolina Hurricanes. Yeah, so Don Sweeney wins. I thought nice, not really a surprise. That was who I would have picked as well. No big deal. I don't know. There wasn't anything super spectacular about this, but he won. That was great. Yay, I think.
Yep.
Then we come back, and Kenan Thompson is in a Einstein hair, Einstein coat, Einstein mustache, and this was cringeworthy. Because he's talking about these awards, and he's talking about the Hart Award, he's talking about the King Clancy Award, he's talking about all of these awards, and I think, and he was making fun of how they looked, and I don't know, but Heidi, I just felt that was just so cringeworthy. It just, like, here you are, you got guys here that are winning these awards and you're kind of mocking the look of them. I just didn't feel it fit.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was kind of over that skit before it kind of started. Like, I don't mind the idea of there being that little side where they like maybe explain the awards a little bit there, but not kind of like be making comments about what the awards look like and stuff. It kind of seems a little bit disrespectful as well as cringy. Like, these awards do mean something, right, to the players and stuff like that. So yeah, it was definitely one of those noteworthy cringy moments for sure.
Yeah. It felt a bit out there. So that was one of the first things that was one of the cringeworthy things that did not work. We then went on here to the King Clancy Trophy winner is the man that has been traded 4 times, Jason Zucker. He's been traded to Calgary, Pittsburgh, a couple of other places, but ultimately he is a winner of the King Clancy Award. Jason Zucker won that. Then it was the Ted Lindsay Award. Thought they did a nice little tribute to bringing out Ted's daughter. I thought that was kind of nice, and they did a little tribute to Ted there, who passed away in March. So I thought that was nice, and they gave that to Nikita Kucherov. I honestly thought that Connor McDavid was going to win that one, but that was neither here nor there. There we go.
Yeah. I was actually like, I don't know. I just always just expect that, yay, Connor McDavid's going to win another award. So to see him actually not win that, like, is not necessarily a surprise. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I thought Kucherov was definitely like would have been my pick for that award as well. Yeah.
You can't. It's hard to argue with Kucherov. We'll get into him a little bit later because we have to talk about a tweet. Then we had the Jack Adams. Oh, okay, this was another cringeworthy moment happened here. So Kenan Thompson realizes the audience is hungry, and we got 10,000 hockey fans out here. We need to get some food, and I don't know who this guy was, but he was apparently out to get burgers. And so he orders a bunch of burgers. I give the San Jose Sharks some credit because they were full of humor for this. But Brent Burns, he says, put it on Brent Burns' tab, which was pretty funny. Then Heidi, they are walking down the aisle with burgers. Not a single human being took a burger. No one.
Yeah, like, I don't know what. So, just for transparency here, I missed watching this last night. But I did see this like come through on social media. So I knew this was going to happen. I actually sat down to actually watch the full thing.
Yeah.
When I saw all I knew was that Ed from Good Burger. Now, Good Burger came out in 1997. I was 10 years old when that movie came out, and so I remember watching it as a kid. So all I saw was like the picture of Ed, and I was like, that's probably not going to be good. Because I'm like, that's pretty like obscure reference.
Yes.
And like I will probably like go into this later, but like the choice of references for some of these things, like maybe they were trying to play on like who they think like what age the audience is or whatever. But yeah, I was kind of, when I knew this was going to happen, and then I saw the picture of Charles like holding the burger with the award. I thought that part was funny. Just that he's just holding the award with the burger in his hand. But yeah, like I don't know whose brilliant idea that was, but like that did not go over well, and I don't know who thought that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, it was just another example of like I felt like a bit of a disconnect. But that was, yeah, I was like, no one took a burger. Like nobody ate one. That didn't work as well. And was this the point? No, it was a little bit later. The worst cringeworthy moment was to come, but that was one of them. Then yes, Barry Trotz won the Jack Adams Award. I could see an argument for John Cooper here because they did set the record or tie the record for wins. But I think considering all that happened on the island, and really when you learn about even Robert Leonard's story, which we'll get into in a little bit here, I think it's fair to say Barry Trotz was full marks for this victory.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we had the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award, when Mark Messier came out with one of the actors from Chicago PD, and
wasn't this award later?
I'm trying to remember because
they did the Norris before this one, I think.
Okay, maybe you're right. We'll go through the Norris here. I don't remember. I thought this one is, but we'll talk about the Norris. Why not? Let's talk about the Norris now. We'll just jump ahead here a little bit because you know what? It's probably been far too long, Heidi, since we've mentioned a lot about the Flames. So you're hesitant.
Yeah, far too long.
Far too long. Yes. But Mark Giordano won this. And I don't think that this was much of a surprise to me anyway. I think he had a great year. He was probably by far the most consistent Flame. I think he, from pillar to post, first half, second half, he was outstanding. I understand other arguments for other players this year, but really consistently hands-on through, I don't think you could not give this to Mark Giordano.
Yeah, and I mean, not just Flames fans, but people in the hockey community in general have been talking for even before the regular season was over that Gio would sure going to be a contender for the Norris, and so that, I mean, was not a big surprise, but I mean, if he would have lost that, I would have probably lost my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that would have created an interesting Twitter conversation. Yes, I agree with you there. So yeah. Giordano won that, and then I do believe it was the maybe you're right. I think it was the Vezina Trophy there, where I think that's the one I think that I missed. Sorry about that, but Vezina Trophy, that was won by Andrei Vasilevsky. Robin Lehner was nominated, as well as Ben Bishop. But it's hard to argue Vasilevsky with the year that Tampa Bay had. And ultimately, this turned out to be a win-win situation, as we will see in a little bit. But Vasilevsky, full marks for that. Then it was the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award, and that turned into Wayne Simmons. Mark Giordano was nominated for that, as well as Oliver Ekman. No, that's the Clancy. Sorry. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Henrik Lundqvist were nominated for the King Clancy Award, and Wayne Simmons was the winner of the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award. And it was between him, Giordano, and Justin Williams. So I don't have a problem with Wayne Simmons winning this. It is weird that Wayne Simmons was traded. We'll see where Wayne Simmons ends up in the offseason. But, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, like these kinds of awards, like the King Clancy and stuff like that, like they're all good people. These players are all doing great things for their community. The fact that they have to, be pitted against each other seems a little odd.
It's weird, isn't it?
Because it's like nice guy versus nice guy versus nice guy. So, never going to get upset about somebody winning. Like, I'm not going to be upset that Gio didn't win that award. I live in Calgary. I know exactly what Gio does.
Yeah.
In Calgary. So, and I don't even honestly think that nomination really meant that much to him either, because he just does that stuff. So that's just the type of person he is.
Yeah. And then they were doing the presentations throughout the night for the Willie O'Ree Community Award. Catherine Tappan did a presentation. Jackie Redmond did a presentation. And someone else did one as well. Rico Phillips won, and I think these are nice stories. Again, it's good promotion for hockey and what they're doing in the community. I think that's the best part about that. And he's a firefighter from Flint, Michigan. It was a nice story. All of the stories were really, really neat and really, really powerful and good stories. And it's nice to get that out there. It's hard to really debate which one fits better or anything like that. It's not one of those that you can say that should win and that shouldn't, because they're all doing great work and they all should be applauded for whatever they are doing. So, so then we had, then moving on here, we then had probably... Okay, so this was it's one of the highlights here. We had, I can't remember her name, come up and introduce Anderson. If you remember Anderson, he was the kid that won the fan vote when his mom passed away of cancer, but hoped that her son was able to meet Carey Price, and they showed the picture of him meeting Carey Price, and Anderson was brought up to the front of the stage, and then they had a little window behind and with Carey Price. And Carey Price says, was really touched. Your mom was really a special person. And then all of a sudden paused and just walked away. And she was like, wait, where did he go? And then Carey Price appeared to the front, to the shock. The organic shock of Anderson just getting excited that he was there was really touching. And then Price just said, hey, here's a jersey, and do you want tickets to the All-Star game? And he just pretty much jumped about as high as he could and said yes. It was really I think just a great moment. It was, to me, one of the highlights. It's certainly, if it is the highlight to me, it's certainly would at least be in the second, but it was one of the highlights for sure.
Yeah, no, that was great. So I know, so I saw this on Twitter last night, and I watched like part of the clip, and this was later on last night, and I was tired and stuff, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, my heartstrings, and then when I actually sat and watched the awards today, and I know this was coming, I'd seen pictures and clips and stuff already, and I still bawled my eyes out, even after I knew this exactly was coming. As soon as it was coming up, I was like, oh no, prepare myself. But yeah, it was definitely the highlight, and that part where he stretches his head up to talking to the microphone, it was so great. So
yeah. And the crowd, Carey Price and the whole thing got a standing ovation, which was great. So I thought that was really, really well done, and it was such a beautiful organic moment that you could not stage. It made it so wonderful. Then we had. This was unfortunately, we were then brought to, this was, as bad as the burgers was, this was worse. So, Kenan Thompson is being LeVar Ball, the Lonzo Ball's father, on the screen, and he is announced. Oh, before we get into this, okay, sorry, I missed this. So, T. Babcock is back. Jillian Fisher did an introduction about Sidney Crosby, great little thing, similar to what she did to Connor McDavid. But T. Babcock got right into it basically there, and he's, he made this a little spicy, didn't he? He's willing to touch, Sidney's willing to touch your butt and tell you you're just doing all right. And, Sidney's willing to do all of these charitable things, and he's the first on the ice, last off the ice, and Sidney just deadpanned this, which was just perfect. I've done none of these things, which I don't know. I just thought the way that they worked off each other. I actually thought this was really funny. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I think Sid's been on enough just. I feel like he's just been all over Canadian TV for forever, and he's kind of become an actor, and he kind of has this sort of figured out. But yeah, the whole trying to deadpan, and then it was just that was definitely great. That was as I said, one of the times that I actually did laugh. There was another moment with T. Babcock. I don't remember where in the show it happened that he was making jokes with one of the players, and I actually legitimately was laughing at the jokes.
Yeah, he did really well. I will have to say, I thought he did a nice job, but this wasn't. Kenan Thompson's being the ball father. And he's like, I'm announcing that my kids are now getting into basketball, and we're trading one of our kids for Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and 21st round picks, and we're trading the other one for Connor McDavid, and we're just going to win all these Stanley Cups, and I'm going to promote my shirt. And I was like, I don't think that do people know who this guy is?
I didn't.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, like it just went over everybody's head, and it was just, and I think what made it so cringeworthy to me was just right after we saw this Crosby moment, and with T. Babcock, that I was just like, yeah, this didn't work. And it probably was a funny joke for those that are really close and following basketball. But if you're not following basketball that closely, I think it just would have went over everybody's head. Yeah, too bad. But that was one of the lower lights in the show, just because I just think it was just an example of a disconnect there. Then I believe we had the Bill Masterton Trophy. I have to tell you that my video recording of this kind of bumped out. So what was the next award here?
Okay, I actually have the order of it now. Well, I have the order of the awards. So, Vezina. Trying to remember now. I think for one thing, I want to make a comment. Maybe I'm not remembering, even though I watched this like an hour and a half ago. Is that I might have toned out, and it was probably because of some of these ridiculous skits. Not gonna lie. Are we at the heart, or did we get?
No, we are not at the heart. Yeah, no, we're not there yet. So
I think we got through. Did they do the St. Louis Blues thing? That was before the heart, I thought.
It was okay. So it was the Norris was just after the Lindsay. Oh, so I did miss. Oh man, So okay, so the other ones I did miss a few here. So the Art Ross Trophy wasn't presented, but they announced it was Nikita Kucherov.
Yeah.
The Williams Jennings Trophy was given to Robert Leonard and Thomas Greiss, and the Rocket Richard Trophy was given out as well. I must have missed that. And then they did the cover announcement, and I missed this, the EA Sports NHL 20 cover announcement. Do you want to talk about that? Because I know you have some opinions on this one.
Yeah, so initially when I heard that it was Austin Matthews, I don't know, maybe being a typical Calgarian and being like, Toronto. We don't need any more Toronto on our TV, especially Maple Leafs. But and I kind of thought about it after, and I thought about the fact that PK Subban won last year and all that stuff. I kind of get it. Matthews has this kind of personality and kind of thing. He's out in the he's being talked about with his fashion and being on social media and being on commercials and stuff. So I do get it. And honestly, when I thought about it, I was like, I don't know who else I would have picked, but at the same time, I have no idea what actually is the quote unquote rules about who, how you go about picking who to be on it, other than it has to, it quote unquote has to be a general star of the league.
Yeah, and to be fair, I see what you're saying because, I have complained about this too, and I ad nauseum about the amount of Toronto that has been on our TV. But there has never been a Toronto Maple Leaf on a cover of an NHL. This is the first time. And
I didn't actually know that. So yeah, that's actually
And he is a superstar. As much as like it or not, he is a superstar. I'm not necessarily that upset about it, considering some of the other names that have been on this. Owen Nolan has been on this. Patrice Bergeron was on this. Vladimir Tarasenko was on this. and I certainly think that Matthews is a bigger star than those three. So I don't necessarily have that huge of a problem with Austin Matthews on there. If it's next year, it becomes Matthews, Tavares, and Marner, then I'll have a bit of a cringeworthy, like, okay, we need to have a little bit of a chat here about that. But it's something like this, I'm not too upset because, he is a star in this league. Is he? And he's probably a bigger superstar because of where he plays. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a nice gesture for him.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even play the game, so I don't know why my opinion even really matters. But yeah, no. So when I thought about it, like after, like I really did change my mind. Like at first I was just, I wanted to react about it because I just didn't want to see more Toronto. We've been ruined here in Calgary with seeing too much Maple Leafs stuff all over our TV all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I am totally in agreement with that, 100%. 100% agree with you about that for sure. But I think Matthews fits for what I think they're trying to go for. I think he fits for what they're looking for. I mean, it will be nice in futures. If someone like Johnny Gaudreau gets on there, or Elias Pettersson, a couple of other guys as well. But I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, he's just advertising a hockey game, and I think some girls think he's good looking anyway, so.
I suppose so, yes.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, all right. Then this was the Bill Masterton Trophy. This was I think highlight number 2. Robin Lehner wins this. Robin Lehner has been a guy that has been pretty much maligned with how his struggles have been, but he really stepped up and talked about his support through mental illness and recovering through addiction. This was probably the best award speech of the night, thanking Barry Trotz, and ended it off saying that I may be mentally ill, but not mentally weak. This was to me the second biggest highlight of the show.
Yeah, no, that was that speech was great, and for him to and it just brings that back out, the fact that he is advocating for this, and it's obviously a very important issue, and for him to bring it up at the awards was fantastic, and I am very glad he won. He totally deserved it. So
yeah. Then the Selke Trophy was awarded here. That was awarded to Ryan O'Reilly. I don't think that was much of a surprise.
Not at all.
Not at all. Then they announced the Rocket Richard Trophy winner here as well. At this point, which, missed my note there. Which was won
by Ovi, I believe.
Yes, by Mr. Ovechkin won that.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And then then at this point, somewhere in this, there's a couple of things that I am probably missing here. We'll go through, what we'll do is we'll just go through all the awards, and then there are a few skits. Vezina we talked about, Adams we talked about, the Jennings Award we talked about, leadership. Then they did a special recognition to the Blues. They recognized the Stanley Cup champions. I think you had something to say here.
I didn't have too much to say other than it was nice that they got John Hamm up there. I like John Hamm. I think he's good to be on the stage there. He is a hockey fan. He is a St. Louis Blues fan. I thought it was a bit extra when they shot the cannon off with the confetti or whatever. I thought that was just a little bit over. You could see all the players in the audience brushing it off their suits right away.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a nice little recognition of that, and seeing Ryan O'Reilly and Binnington and the GM and everybody up there. So yeah. The only thing I had to say about that is that use of confetti, I thought that was just too much.
Yeah, fair. Then we had the Hart Trophy, which was to Nikita Kucherov, and then this always seems to get Oiler fans upset, because there are some Oiler fans, I don't think all Oiler fans, but I think some Oiler fans that believe that because Connor McDavid plays on a really crappy team, that because this team is so lousy, he should be the MVP, playoffs or not.
And to me, that makes no sense to me.
Well,
to me, I would almost use that logic to argue the opposite.
Yeah, I'm not going to just. Of course, Connor McDavid's a great player. Nobody's going to dispute that. But they're 10 points out of the playoff spot here at least. I can't for the life of me make an argument for Connor McDavid for Hart. Sure, yeah, okay, he scores a ton of points, but yeah, great, but his team isn't winning, and he's part of this team. I just, if I could make more of an argument. To be honest with you, I think there's more of an argument for Crosby this year to win the MVP than there was for McDavid. Because if you look at how bad that, other than Malkin, really, that Pittsburgh team was not exactly one of the more talented teams that Crosby's ever been with, and he got that team in the playoffs. Did they stumble? Absolutely, in the playoffs. Yeah, they got swept by the Islanders, but that also would be an example of how bad this Pittsburgh Penguins team is. I think there's more of an argument for Crosby than there is for McDavid to win this.
Yeah, and so I actually have the Hart Trophy, the voting in front of me. So Kucherov got it by a landslide with over 1,600 votes.
As well he should, by the way.
What's that?
As well he should have.
Yeah. And I totally agree. And Crosby was still second with 739, and then Connor McDavid with 465. But actually, not very far behind Connor McDavid was Johnny Gaudreau.
Yes, he finished fourth.
So, and then Brad Marchand, we got Nathan McKinnon, and they're these are all guys that I don't know. I feel made more contribution, but maybe that, again, as I was just saying a couple minutes ago, maybe I'm just thinking that just because it seems that McDavid is maybe being seen in that light, that he's making the biggest contribution to his team because the rest of his team is not that great. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure even about that third place win for him. So
I'm about to anger. I'll anger the Oilers fans.
Just do it. It's okay.
I'm going to anger the Oilers fans here. So, and I'll compare this to maybe, I think when my mind I'm thinking about Ovechkin. Because when Alex Ovechkin couldn't get this team over the hump, Ovechkin got a ton of heat about not able to get his team over the hump. You're the franchise player, it doesn't matter, you're the guy, you got to get that ring, why can't you beat Crosby, this is on you. But when we argue about this about McDavid, it's well, look at the team around him. And it just, to me, I feel like Connor McDavid, he's actually treated like Mick Jesus. He can do no wrong when, if you see some of his plays and you look back, there are times he doesn't, sorry to say this, but at times it looks like he's not as committed defensively as other players are. And I think that I'm not going to dispute the guy is talented, and I'm not going to. Of course, he can score goals. Of course, he can skate, but it's hard for me to not sit here and wonder a little, ask us some questions, not necessarily like in a critical way, but it's hard for me to sit here and claim that he's an MVP candidate because of his team around him.
Yeah, no, I 110% agree with you on that. It's like I can't, as I said, like that whole comparing him to the team around him thing is not a reason at all that he should be up there.
Yeah. And the other thing that kind of bugs me, because you shared this tweet about, and I'll read it. If you ever feel undervalued, this is a pretty major follower, major Oiler follower. She has well over 10,000 followers on Twitter. So if you ever feel her name is Ginny _Jenny, McJenny. And I'm not discounting you as a human being, by the way, but I'm taking your tweet to task. If you ever feel undervalued at work, just remember that the shit show that was the 2019 NHL Awards didn't even recognize McDavid among the best, yet they honored the guy who was too slow to catch him, so he pulled him down, brackets, injuring him as best defenseman.
Yeah, so obviously that was a poll at Mark Giordano, which, yeah, but even so, like, that it's almost like a sense of, and I will preface this, it's like not to be like this, but yeah, like kind of just, that's almost saying that like McDavid can literally just do no wrong. And as you said, like really following that whole McJesus thing that, and if he's not being recognized, then obviously it's kind of the end of the world, apparently.
Well, and this was one of the frustrations of this year, I think, is Oilers media got irate and upset anytime that McDavid was taken down, and complaining far too much about that. Rob Tchaikovsky did it. Bob Stauffer did it. You go back to that game in Calgary in November where Cassian and Tkachuk had and there was that whole kerfuffle. People forget who started that kerfuffle. It was McDavid. That was not Matthew Tkachuk. And so you could, I mean, if you want to have a debate if Tkachuk should have fought there or not, you can have that debate. But the fact of the matter is that was started by McDavid. So, he's a superstar player. He's a key factor. Teams are going to be physical on him. That is a fact. He does not get special treatment because he's one of the stars of the league. Sorry, you can't expect players and you can't expect opponents to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. McDavid. I know you're the greatest player in the world, so I won't touch you." You just can't expect players to do that.
No, it's true, and even like just go back to Flames things in general. Like everybody kind of talks about how Johnny Gaudreau always gets slashed in the hands, right? And even now, like, Flames fans recognize that, like, we can't be getting constantly upset about that all the time. It's just a thing that happens. And yes, maybe it does happen to him more often, but, like, probably not. Like, sure, it happens to lots of other players. So, like, you can't just treat them as just that they can do no wrong and that they're held up to like just far too high of a standard. So
that we'll be continuing that argument on and on and on. But I mean, even Canuck fans, you're going to have to be a physical presence around made players. That's not going to, that's never going to change. That is just part of hockey. So. Hashtag deal with it. So that's the awards part. I think we missed a few skits here that I just quickly want to go over. There was a Steve Harvey skit, and I can't remember. Do you remember the Steve Harvey skit?
Yeah, that was the one that I think was right before the Norris, and they had the two ladies that won Miss USA and Miss Universe, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a nice thing with, I thought Kenan Thompson was sitting beside Gary Bettman, acting like Charles Barkley. That was pretty funny. And then he steps away and he's asked to move because that seat is reserved for Gritty. I thought was great. I would have liked to have seen more Gritty than we did. We did see Chance, the Vegas Golden Knight mascot, but I think Gritty was such a highlight of the year that I think it would have been great to have Gritty at the NHL Awards.
Gritty could have hosted the whole thing for all we care. The internet would have loved it.
Yes, absolutely. Who cares that he can't talk?
No.
Yeah, he could just sit there and wave and do signs and all of that sort of stuff. It would have been fine. Anything else that we missed? That you kind of wanted to talk about there? What did you feel?
Not like specifically with like any of like the skits or the presentations or anything. Well, the only thing I want to say is we were talking about Gio and the Norris. So that little line that Gio said about being young and fresh.
Yes.
That's going to be like a hashtag and be a saying that I'm sure is going to go around the Flames community for the next season.
That's great. Yeah.
I tweeted Flames Fanatic, so they're the official makers of all like the Flames gear, the official store or whatever. I tweeted them last night as a joke that they should make a shirt with Gio's face with that underneath it, and I would buy it. And they tweeted me back at like midnight last night to tell me that they're working on it.
Oh, great.
So that's cool. And then other than that, I just have, Kevin, I could read you some of the very random notes that I have written down on my notepad.
Please do.
Okay. I talked about how I loved seeing Jillian Fisher. We should talk about Connor McDavid's belt.
Yeah, I didn't want to get.
Did you see this?
I didn't. I'm not a person that looks at fashion, but I have to admit that I was scratching my head at the belt.
Yeah. So I happened to because I just being just kind of how I am. I wanted to see some pictures of the other players and their suits and stuff like that. I have another suit thing to bring up later. So I kind of just did some quick Googling about who was the best dressed players at the awards this year. So I found an article. I'm going to pull it up here from NHL.com, and they pulled a couple of the players. Obviously, Brent Burns always has crazy suits. That's not anything different. But they talked to McDavid, and I found out. So this was his exact quote about his suit. It said, "It's made by Eleventy." Another actual player mentioned this brand well. He's like, they like having this drawstring thing at the waistband, and so that's actually what the pants are supposed to look like. Oh. It's not actually a belt. Apparently, it's a drawstring, like sweatpants, on his suit. So
interesting. So
there is breaking news. If none of you knew that, is that was actually a drawstring on his.
News. Gee, there we go. I was able to use it. Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that was cool because I wrote that down and then I just happened to look at it. Yeah. Other than that, so what else did I write? So the other suit thing that I was going to bring up. So Austin Matthews, when he came up to get his to talk about him being on the cover or whatever, I was like, he walked out and I was like, oh, cool, I like his suit. But he had really bad sweat stains.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, that was all over Twitter too. Yeah.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I'm always going to mention things that I saw on Twitter, but that I also noticed. What else did I like? John Hamm came up and he talked about how he's kind of like, been busy and stuff like that. He looks like he's been partying for a week straight. They kind of mentioned this too with when Ryan O'Reilly came up and he was talking about how he's had a busy week and how he couldn't talk. You could really tell in his voice that it was scratchy and he's tired. So, what else did we talk about? Oh, we didn't talk about how Alex Trebek presented the Hart Trophy.
Yeah, no, we didn't. That was great.
Yeah, that was like, I think, a really good gesture on that part. I think to present, they brought Trebek up, but before Trebek, they had people basically announcing Trebek, and that was Jay Baruchel and the guy that just set the record for Jeopardy wins. Yeah. Whatever his name is. They actually had them come up and say a few things, and then they got Trebek to come up later. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, but I was really happy with that choice of having Trebek. Like, anybody that is Canadian knows he's definitely a hockey fan, and just with everything he's going through and stuff like that, it was really nice to have that there.
He looked good too. He looks physically well.
Yeah, I actually noticed that too, that he actually looked like he's hopefully doing well. What else did I write down? I have a note saying, I'm glad that Kucherov won the Hart over Connor McDavid. I actually wrote that down.
Yeah, to me, I thought it was a no-brainer with Kucherov. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just have a note here too that in general, I actually like seeing these more community-based awards. These guys that are, even though I said that it's hard to pick a winner by all these guys that are doing these leadership things and these initiatives in the community, and with the Willie O'Ree and stuff like that. Those are actually I like watching those awards, and seeing maybe that I didn't know that this player did this thing, and so those are my actual awards that I really actually watch for, even though, yes, I was obviously very, very excited that Gio won his Norris that he deserved.
It would be nice if those were those nominees were more profiled throughout the playoffs, though, as part of the Stanley Cup final, or when eyes are on them. I think that's it's great that we're highlighting them at the awards. I'm just sitting here thinking, though, that there's other ways to do that too. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. They would have had all this time during the playoffs to talk about that stuff, and maybe to hype up the awards a little bit. But they didn't seem to really want to hype the awards until almost the playoffs were over, right? And that was only last week. So
yeah, and I think that the argument for that is you want to focus on the actual Stanley Cup, but I don't think telling these stories during the Stanley Cup final is a distraction. I think it just enhances the importance of hockey in the community. So
yeah, no, I agree, but I guess there is just but there's just so much going on when we really think about it, and why we're even just talking today, having a one-off conversation just about the awards, is that there's just a ton of things going on in the NHL, all in the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they just think it's hard to fit all this stuff in, but I think they could definitely have made it work.
Yep. Yeah. Any other notes?
No, that's basically it.
All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about here?
Do we want to say, maybe, do you have any suggestions about how the awards could be better?
A couple of things. I think that you can do the fan interaction thing. I know that there has been a struggle with a host, but I think you need to make sure whoever your host is really understands the audience, because it was completely, I think for the most part, there was a disconnect. I think a guy like John Hamm would be a great host. I think that would be a guy
I think he hosted last year, didn't he?
Oh, I know.
I think he did.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why he was there again. And I remember being super surprised when I heard that at first, and then when I saw him on there, I was like, oh, he totally like killed it. I don't remember seeing any complaints about him from last year. I believe it was last year. I'm going to look it up. About him, his job being it. So they need somebody who kind of just knows what they're doing. But yeah, again, like I didn't hate the idea of Kenan Thompson either. But just the jokes fell flat, and it just seemed to be too much. Like, they just need to make it less, as you said, less like an SNL skit and more like an actual award show, and make it with throwing those hockey elements into it.
Yeah, and I understand why they have it in Vegas, but I actually think that this should be something that you combine with it's because the awards. Okay, so let's look at our timeline here. Wednesday we have the awards. Friday, Saturday is the draft. Why can you not combine all three of these together? Because in one city, like, why not? Like next year have the awards ceremony in Montreal when you have the draft in Montreal.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. And I think it probably would be in a Canadian city. I think it will just bring a little bit of a different life. And I think, yeah, I like the Babcock stuff. I really liked the Jillian Fisher stuff. I think you could replace those skits with some really interesting fan interaction moments. That doesn't it creates a bit more, and loosen that crowd up just a little bit. Like, if you're the director, just allow them to, they're just so, I understand the intensity that they're as athletes, but like, it just, like, it's okay to laugh. Like, I'm not trying to downplay what the seriousness of what they're trying to go through, but like, you know what I mean? Just like, let them have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, like, I think there could have been, they could definitely have made more effort into figuring out what would have entertained the players, and I think the fans too, because the fans were not happy with it at all. Like, I think it was trying too hard to be something that it wasn't. Like, it wasn't an SNL skit. It was supposed to be an award show.
Yeah. I try to think of anything else.
Do you have somebody that you would think that would be a ideal host?
Well, Trebek has done it before. John Hamm has done it before. Ron McLean has done it before. So I understood why they went the route of Kenan Thompson, because they wanted something new. I'm trying to think of other names. You know who wouldn't be such a bad host? Actually, would be Seth Rogen.
Oh, that would be interesting. Actually, when Jay Baruchel was up there, I thought Jay Baruchel too. They could do a host of Seth Rogen and Jay Baruchel together. And try something like that. Or,
has there been a female host?
I'm trying to actually look up who it was. I really feel like there wasn't. Not that I remember.
I know I'm maybe a voice in the wilderness here, but to me, like, just overall in the sports scene in Canada anyway, the fact that there's only one female host in all of national broadcasting in Canada is ridiculous to me. Anyway, that's absurd to me. Anyway, and I say that as a male broadcaster, that we need more female broadcasters. But I also think that maybe a female host would work as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm trying to think of
Carolyn Cameron.
Like Carolyn Cameron, Jackie Redmond. I love Jackie Redmond. Like, I think she's great. And there's definitely good voices out there.
Like, one of the things that I think they also dropped the ball on is kind of replaying some of the great moments of the year. As an example, Kendall Coyne Schofield doing well at the speed skating at the All-Star game. Like, things, like, just some of those moments. You could have also have done something, there would have been a good opportunity here to talk about women's hockey. There's a bunch of stuff that they can do that they didn't. That I think if you replace some of these skits with some really good, and if they did well on the inspirational stuff, like for sure, like the Carey Price thing, Robin Leonard, that was great. But really kind of talk about how they're cultivating hockey a bit more. Because the skits that ultimately worked were the ones that were hockey focused. When it was T. Babcock and he was focused on hockey, that was really good. But when they were off brand, it felt like they were disconnected to the audience.
Yeah.
So I think kind of focusing hockey-wise, Carolyn, even Jenna Fisher, I think would be a pretty fun host.
Yeah, that would. I think that would be a great choice. I'm looking through these awards again. Even thought of having like someone like Tara Sloan.
Yeah, have Rob McLean and Tara Sloan host the awards.
Yeah, like as a duo or something. Like, look at I don't hate the idea of having like a dual hosting thing, because that ended up turning out really well for was it the Oscars that Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted together?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, last year they went without a host, but
oh yes, that's right.
It was supposed to be Kevin Hart, but they changed that.
Yeah. So like, I think definitely they can make some choices about the hosting thing, but I guess they know now for next year to not try to play into that. But it's just too bad, because I've been enjoying the whole like them trying to inject the Mighty Ducks into the NHL this year. Like, I loved seeing like some of the cast and them reunited and all that stuff. So like, I thought it was neat that they had Kenan Thompson, and so it was generally disappointing. And then like maybe the other way that they could just be it could do better is just, is it possible to have it at a different time, like a different like not on a Wednesday night? But I guess just the way that the schedule works it kind of has to be.
If you move it to a Thursday night, well, it's tough though too, because the problem is how the draft is set, because the draft is set up on a Friday night. The NBA draft is usually the Thursday night before that, so you don't want to be face off with the NBA draft. Not in the States, you're not going to win. So that's why it's on a Wednesday. I guess the only other way that you could do it is maybe if this is about if the playoffs don't matter in this, I guess the only thing that you don't have the Stanley Cup presentation at the awards ceremony, but you do it just before the Stanley Cup starts.
Yeah. I guess the only argument with that is that it would, those teams that have to prepare.
Yeah, they would be distracted.
It would be a distraction.
But they do it in the CFL.
Do they?
Yeah, they do it. They have the awards show the Thursday before the Grey Cup.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so like they play like the playoffs and then they have it right before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Like if the playoffs aren't part of the voting, then that would be the other thing. Yeah, but the timing it's tough.
Yeah, but like, and just in general too, like, I'm not actually 100% sure. Maybe I'm gonna look this up later. But what like the actual viewership of the NHL awards actually is. Like, I feel like this is actually like the first year that I actually sat down and watched all the way through it. Other than I think I would sat and watched all the way through it last year, but before that, like, are they really trying to make it more of a TV event, or?
Well, I think all of the sports groups are, because the NBA is doing an awards ceremony next week. The NFL is doing the NFL honors, so they are trying to do it all the same way. But there's ways to just make it more entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm definitely interested already to see what they're going to do next year. Me
too. And we have a bunch of stuff we are going to be review. I'm going to the Jason Botchford tribute, so I'll have a review of that tomorrow morning. And then Tyler and I will be at the draft for the first round on Friday. We'll recap that on Sunday. Recap the draft. So that's going to be a busy week. What else is going on? Anything else going on, Heidi?
Not hockey related, as far as I know. I'm going to sit and watch the draft tomorrow. So if they show the audience, make sure that you guys wave.
Okay, I will try to wave. Yeah.
And message me if you see the Flames people doing anything, whether it's trade related or not. Like if they're just doing something that you thought I would think would be funny.
If Brad Treliving is walking, I will tell you what's going on.
Okay.
Yes.
Because just to be a fly in that room and just to see that part would be entertaining enough for me. So I'm kind of jealous that you guys are going, to the extent that maybe I might have to start thinking about going to Montreal next year. So.
Oh, Montreal's a great city.
I've been there, so I would love to go back.
Yeah. All right. And how do we follow you?
You can follow me at Heidi Amazeballs on Twitter and Instagram. That's HEID Amazeballs. And that's the best way to get a hold of me. If you ever have any questions about, and you want my random thoughts about something hockey related, then just tweet me and I'll try to answer you.
All right. Sounds great. And you can just follow me at KEVOLE on Twitter as well, kevinolenick.com. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. No, I did. Oh, hang on. Oh.
Look, I found a donut. I'm happy now. All right. The Masterton Trophy goes to, let's see, Robin Leonard!
Robin Leonard is the third member of the New York Islanders to win this award in its 51-year history, joining Mark Fitzpatrick and Ed Westfall. He is the fifth goalie since 2010 to win the Masterton.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that voted for me. My fantastic wife, who got to stick this out with me. You're amazing. I want to thank... there's so many people to thank. I want to thank the New York Island organization. Lou, you've been amazing. Barry Trotz, for thinking about the human first. I got to respect that. I want to give a shout out to my agents, Don and Craig. You guys have been sticking with me for many years now. And the program, Marlo, Dr. Shaw, Lewis, Dan Cronin, best program anywhere around. I'm here because of you guys. One that's been with me since the beginning. I've did my journey has been my close friend Frank Muja and his family, and all my special teammates. You guys are amazing, and I took that first step, got help, and that was life-changing for me, and that's something we got to keep pushing for. We got to, end the stigma. I'm not ashamed to say I'm mentally ill, but that doesn't mean mentally weak. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.